everybody, and welcome to the FL Solidity team call. My name is Marisa Maggio, and I'm super excited to be on with two of my teammates and two people who show up for themselves, they show up for their business, and they don't make excuses. And I'm super excited to have Heather Robeson and Rami Hamadi on with me. So how are you guys doing today?
Very good. Thanks for
Excellent.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And guys, really what I'm going to do on this call, and I had told Rami and Heather this prior, I know it can get messy when there's a couple people trying to talk on Zoom, but I do think that they can both speak from a little bit of a different experience, so to say. And I think that that's really helpful for whether you're a seasoned agent or you've been here for, this is your first day. Regardless, this call should be helpful. Get a pen and paper. I literally have one in front of me. I'm ready to go because I know that the value that these two can add to my business is absolutely huge. So with that being said, just to kind of get started, Heather, talk to us a little bit about what your schedule looks like and why it looks the way it does.
That is number one of the things that I need to talk about that you asked me to write a list of what we want to talk about. Schedule. For a new agent, old agent, doesn't matter what you are. A schedule is key to your success. You can have a flexible schedule. I believe you can move things around on your calendar. I've got Google Calendar and I move things around, but you do have to stick to a schedule. What does a schedule mean to me? Everything. I have two different calendars. I have my personal calendar and I have my business calendar. I have them on my screen at all times. On my personal side, I have my family, because guess what, people, we all have families. A lot of us have kids. We have husbands or wives that take a lot of our time, or at least expect our energy, right? So even scheduling in time with my husband, I actually put that on my calendar. He appreciates it now, right? I sit on the couch at night and finish up my apps or whatever I can do while we're watching TV. And yes, I'm definitely paying attention to that TV. Right?
And
But
I think that's
you have
important
to
though.
put everything on there.
Right. And you know, it's crazy as somebody who like maybe this is your first exposure to your first call that you've been on. You might be like, she schedules time with her husband. Well, yeah, she does. And Heather, you do that probably so that you have time with your husband. Would that be fair to say?
That
Because we can get
absolutely.
lost in the sauce, right? And just kind of want to keep working until like 1, 2
And
in the morning.
yeah, and a lot of times it's because I don't want him coming in here being like, when are we going to the gym? He knows that gym is on the calendar, right? He knows that I'm going to be sitting on the couch at night with him. He knows that that stuff is booked. So he doesn't come in here and bug me. The only thing he comes in here to do is fill up my drink bucket and give me food. I'm like an animal in a box, and he comes and feeds me and gives me water. Because he
Oh,
knows
Heather, I love
his
you.
time is there.
Right. And you follow that schedule day in and day out. You know, if there's one person I can point to and I could be like, Heather does everything on her calendar to a point that I'm like, does she ever made a mistake her whole life? We all know Heather has because she's human, but Heather shows up day in, day out for herself and for the team. And I think that that's just huge. So Heather, thank you for that. And sticking with that schedule, guys, like long term, I think about my insurance journey, Heather, right? And I think about like, okay, you know, 7 years ago, I was like a mess. I was just trying to get through the day, if you will. I was like, what's commission, right? But, you know, fast forward in between that, 3 years pass. And, you know, now I'm doing like a part-time schedule, if you will. I'm helping 20 families a month and I'm kind of lost in the sauce, right? What I mean when I'm saying lost in the sauce is I'm not really sure. My business isn't going up. It's not going down. It's just like, right. And what I did know about myself was I love helping families, but I don't want to be helping families. Well, I do want to be helping families, but I'm 75, but not in the same facet. Right. So I knew that I had to essentially make what made sense, which was a schedule that was more designed for the growth side in terms of the business, but also designed for the personal side in terms of the business so that we're able to hit both of those goals, which is really important. So Heather, I know you stay really true to that. And just to kind of piggyback off that, because I think these coincide, talk to us a little bit about the goals you set for yourself. You know, you talk a lot about your daily and weekly goals. And I think when we break our goals down like that, it makes it a lot easier for us to actually feel like we accomplished something through the day.
Absolutely. So actually, it's kind of funny that you asked me that, because just this morning, I know I'm 2 days late, but I switched over my calendar to May, and I realized that we're done a whole quarter, right? We're a quarter in. At the beginning of the year, from last year, you guys had us, and I say you guys had us, you gave the advice, somebody gave the advice to do a calendar for the year. I had never done that before. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do that. And I did. I bought a special calendar, I put holidays on there. I put all the things I predicted I would want to do, like take off for Mother's Day is literally on there. Yes, it's a Sunday, but just in case I screwed up that week, I wanted to make sure that on the calendar, I wasn't working that Sunday, right? My kid's birthday is on there for May. So this morning I looked at that calendar and I realized that at this moment, we only have 180 days. Okay, sorry. I only have 180 days until I want to hit Hall of Fame. My goal was October 31st to hit Hall of Fame. Now, if I get there earlier, awesome. That's even way better. But October 31st of my day. If I didn't set that goal ahead of time, I would have no idea where I was, right? Or how many days are left. And it's there. It's written in ink right there. I can't change it. It's in marker, right? But one of the things that helped me to get to that, because I wasn't there last year, right? So what's the difference from last year to this year? And I think it's exactly that. Having that consistency, always keeping track of your goals. And that's the large scale, right? That was for the year. So then you took it from the year to break it down into month. What do I need per month? Well, in order to get Hall of Fame, I need at least 34 families per month, at least. And if I don't make it, then I have to make up for it the next month, right? Well, how do I get that? Well, let's break the month down into weeks. What do I need per week? Right? And then don't forget, you have to submit, but you also have to actually issue pay. So you've got to take your numbers and figure that out. Your numbers are going to be different than mine, Rami's, Jessica's, everybody's going to be different. So figuring that, they're all somewhat similar. The numbers are kind of, the numbers are numbers, but where are you on your level and how are you going to get to those numbers and what are your goals? So then with my agents, I always make sure we break down into daily goals. And even myself, I have them written down, my daily goals. These are my daily goals. It's on my dial sheet, right? And yes, I'm a year and a half in and I'm still using a dial tracker.
You better.
Right?
No, I'm just kidding.
Because if I don't hit my daily goals, I ask myself why. Well, I screwed up. Maybe I spent a little too much time with the husband or kids, right? Or maybe I went out to the kitchen too many times to do whatever I wanted to do, right? So then you have to come and I make up for it, right? So if I give myself rewards. I like just time rewards, really. It's things that I like to do, and I give myself time for. If I finish all my leads, I go out and make dog food in the Instapot, like literally stupid stuff, but that's what I do.
Right, but that's what has to get done. So I love that. So essentially, you took a long-term goal and you shrunk it down into, okay, how do I get there? I have this many weeks. What am I going to do to get there, right? So Heather, you told me right now on your dial tracker, you have written down your daily goals. Tell us what it says.
So I have 6 goals I can meet. I don't do all 6. If I did, that would be incredible. But I try to hit, no, I don't try. I hit 3 out of 6. 3 out of 6. First one is bring on or onboard essentially an agent. So if I put somebody into licensing, that's a 1. That's all I need as a goal. If I do that, that means I took time, right? Because what is a goal? It's time, it's activity. So if you're putting in activity to the proper places, you're going to get there. All new leads. My leads get uploaded every single day. They're dripped in, they get uploaded to Ringy, and I have to dial all of them. So all my new leads, that's a goal. So there, it's easy. That's 2 right there. 100 dials. Now, most people tell you 300, 400, 500 dials. Yes, if you're a new agent, you're not going to have these other things. So I would suggest higher dial time. I'm also, adding to my agency and you wouldn't be, so you would want to increase your dials. But mine's 100 dials. In that 100 dials, I can also set 10 appointments. If I set or do 10 appointments, then that's another goal I can reach. Within that, and I color code everything from my calendar to my dial sheet. I have colors. 15 of those have to be talks. So I have to hear somebody, even if they swear at me, even if they hang up on me, even if they reschedule, even if I can't help them, it's all a talk. I talk to a person, right? So that's included. So I have to have 15 of those. And then the one that makes the most money for me, even though it's all snowballed, is 3 sales. If I have 3 sales that day, and 3 sales is 3,000, I don't count, this person, this person, this person, it's actually 3,000. Then it's one of my successes. So out of those 6, I do 3. If I do 3 yesterday, bam, I get a pretty green. I like green. I don't like red. 3 check marks, and my day is good, even if I made 0 sales yesterday. Because mentality wise, this is a hard business. You can really think you suck if you didn't sell 1 policy that day. If you look at your thing and say, all right, well, I hit my goal, so it's a good day, then you can go to bed at night, at least knowing that you did something that you were supposed to do.
Absolutely. And I love that because I think it's important. You hit on it, and you always talk about this too, Heather, that snowball effect, right? Like that's a real thing in this business. Once you start gaining momentum, the last thing you want to do is lose it, because it's like you lost the snowball. You have to go back down the hill to start it and start it again, right? Every time you have to start that new snowball, it's like you want to think about it like, did I not hit my 3 out of my 6 goals, or whatever your goal is? But you have to think, just like Heather said when she explained her 6 goals of the day, she's explaining why these are her 6 goals. It's not just like, these are my 6 goals because I think it's good. It's like, these are my 6 goals because they make sense for my business, they make sense for my family, and they make sense for me.
And
And
also, I'm kind of anal because if I don't hit it that day, then I start the next day with what I didn't finish. So then I have to finish that day and work harder that day to make up for my loss, because I like half-day Saturdays and I can afford them now, right? So I want to make sure I'm done by 2 on Saturdays if I can.
amen to that. And it's like that's the nature of this business, right? In the beginning, you might be working for, for example, 6 hours straight on the phones, and you might feel like you got nowhere. You're like, I talked to 10 people, they all told me to fly a kite. One guy, I talked to him, and then he ended up already having life insurance. And it's really easy to get caught in this trap of like, and then this happened and that happened. When you first start, guys, it would be weird. Heather, would you agree with it? It would be so weird if you had a brand new agent start, they picked up the phone, and on their first 100 dials, they helped 10 families. Like you would be kind of like, okay,
I don't think
like
it would ever happen, but that would be really cool.
it would be really cool if it was legit, right? But it's like, guys, that's not the way of this business. Like, just like Heather's talking about, like she's saying, I compound my goals. So if I don't hit my goals from yesterday, I don't just go into the next day and hit reset. It's okay, I made 46 dials yesterday. I said I was going to do 100. I have to add 54, right, to make it 100. So now I have to make 154 dials to be able to check that box and make it green. This is truly a snowball effect. So if you're on the phone and you're new, or you're just in like a rut, a pit, whatever it is, you have to realize the only thing that's going to work you out of it is activity. Activity
Guys, look,
trumps everything.
you see this?
Those are all your dial trackers.
All my dial trackers since the very beginning. Actually, this is since April of 2022 when Paul told me to start tracking my dials.
Hey, and look at it's literally almost exactly 1 year later.
Yeah.
So Heather can say, I tracked
365, baby.
Heather has the data. She has the data. So guys, but that's what you want it to look like. And just like Heather's talking about, taking Sundays off, having that half day on Saturday. Sometimes we look at this business and people are like, oh, we have to work 95 hours a week to get, no, you don't have to work 95 hours a week. But what you do have to do is when you're working, you have to be actually working, right? You have to be going towards a goal. You have to be going towards something. Like when you're on Zoom in front of the camera, and guys, am I guilty of this? Have I ever done this? Yeah, you guys could probably take a picture of me, send it to me, and be like, what are you doing? Right? Like, has there ever been a time I'm on Zoom and like it looks like I'm doing nothing? Sure, I'm not perfect either. But at the same time, my whole point is in this business, guys, it's a snowball effect. You got to roll the snowball up the hill. You got to be willing to take some losses to have some gains, so to say, aka you work that Saturday evening when you don't want to. Like, Rami was home yesterday doing an appointment at like 11 o'clock at night because it was California leave that he booked. And he's like, well, I said I was going to do it. He was able to help that family. But my point is it gives you that freedom over time. When you do this and you're able to, to a point, master it. Because in my opinion, guys, Heather, Rami, me, we all can still learn a bunch of things in this business. We don't know everything. But what we're doing is we're working towards a goal each and every day to get better at that. And I think that that's huge. And Heather, I see you do that day in and day out, and you got all the activity trackers to even prove it. So I love that. Rami, just to kind of hit it on your end, talk to us a little bit about what it looked like coming in as a new agent and what it looks like for you now.
Yeah, it's the same, guys. To be honest, like when you come in as a new agent, the work you're going to do is the same work you're going to continue to do. So you just want to make sure that you're dialing and that you're actually, purchasing leads. You just don't want to buy one batch of leads and stick on it and just say, hey, it's not working out for me. It's not really not meant for me. It's not the case. It's just you're either not doing the right income producing activity to the right extent, like Heather's saying, scheduling, or you're also giving your all. You have to just believe in it. When I came as a new agent, I had Christina and Marisa, so I was pretty lucky enough just to have blind faith in them. And when you have blind faith, it makes it pretty much easier to get through things in life. Think of anything you guys go through pretty much. If you end up believing in yourself, you're going to end up doing it. School, sports, anything at all, right? You have to have a self-efficacy at the end of the day. If you don't and you doubt yourself, it's going to be a much harder business. So just keep in mind as a new agent, just enter it with confidence, right? Just be very confident. Just know that at the end of the day, you can make this work and you're the only person that's going to, win for you and your family. No one here on the call is going to one is going to make you win that same extent. Now we're all going to help you. We're all going to encourage you. We're all going to tell you what to do and how to do it. But it's up to you guys to actually do it. So when I came to business, I just literally did what I was told. They said, hey, move fast, break things. I did. They said, pick with the phone and dial. I did. Go to your appointments. I did. In-home is better than the phone. I stayed in-home. Even now today, guys, I'm doing a hybrid, but I prefer in-home because I know if I'm sitting down with someone face to face, it's very hard for them to kind of, tell me no, not because I'm in their face aggressive, but when I'm talking to you over the phone, you can't understand my intent. You don't know if I'm trying to sell you. You don't know if I'm trying to talk to you. When I'm in front of you, you feel me. You understand me. You see my body language. Like, okay, this guy's not a sales guy. He's really presenting a product, but he's trying to help me. The same thing, guys, now over the phone. You want to transition with word tracks, things like that. So as a new agent, master your lane. Find the lane, whether it's going to be live internet leads, FEX, or mortgage. It doesn't matter, and stick to it. Don't hop ship. Don't go left to right, left to right. It's not going to work for you. Find one lane and master. They all work. If you ask Heather what leads did she dial when she first started, it's completely different than what she did now. Just because over time she developed the skill, and then now she's like, hey, I can put money into here. I can put money into here. But in the beginning, she didn't try dialing 18 different leads. I didn't try calling 18 different types because I know that if I'm going to use my script, I want to sound like the same every single appointment. I want to make sure that I'm talking to a family. If you record me like 10 out of 10 times, at least 75%, to be very transparent, I sound exactly the same. When I ask my questions, the tonality. So as an agent, that's what you really want to practice, especially on the sales side. You really want to make sure that, again, you're sounding the same like a broken record, because that way, if you're messing up, then it's easy to tell what you're doing wrong, because you're going to say the same thing, and I'm going to say, or Maurice or Christina, whoever is going to say, listen, this is what you're going to say. With that being said, most families want protection because of X, Y, Z. People fill those requests up for one of three reasons. So as long as you're being consistent, like Heather said, you just really are going to end up winning here. And that's what I was in the beginning. I was very consistent, even to this day. Like I still do exactly, nothing's changed, guys, truly. The only difference is I'm building a team. So I spend more time talking to agents, trying to get them to sell, trying to make sure they can help their families. But at the end of the day, it's all on you. That's my main point. And in order to really make it win, you can't blame the system. You can't blame the leads. You can't blame your upline. It's you, because you can easily go buy your own damn leads if you want to. You can go do any vendor you like to. You can go call any upline, talk to any manager. You can talk to any agent. It's truly on you to succeed here. So just keep that in mind. And that's what I did in the beginning, to be very blunt.
Absolutely. And I think that master your lane is huge, because are you gonna, transition, so to say, into different lanes over time? Yeah. But in the beginning, mastering, for example, your one call close internet script might be what you have to do. And that might be what's going to, help you produce income. If that's where you're at, you want to know that script. Like I always said this about what I refer to, and you guys probably hear me on the phone sometimes, as my role and purpose. It's literally the same thing. The way I look at the script is like, if I don't use that script to one call close and I'm saying something different every time, I can't identify what I'm doing differently. I can't. Heather can't, Rami can't, Christina can't, Melissa can't, Liz can't, nobody can. that's on me at that point because I'm saying something different every single time. So master your lane, repetition's huge. And, Rami, going back to, it's crazy to think like it was, over 2 years ago now, but I think about going back to when you came to me and said, you wanted to come into this business. And I was like, basically like, oh man, like, I'm like, this might be good or this might be bad. Right. And I told Rami, I said, like, I need you to just go to the office. I need you to just trust me. If you're not going to be able to do that, like, love you, but I don't think that we should do business together, essentially. So he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. And Rami, do you remember being in the kitchen and I was like, do your script? And you were like, why? Like, do you remember that?
Yeah, I
And
do.
you remember like we role played out loud, right?
I remember, yeah, and I remember actually at one point you were saying, "Stop saying the script." I said it too many times. But like, that's enough. It's enough. We're at home. Work stays at work.
Right. But in the beginning, I was like, you better say it out loud at least 100 times before we get you on the phone the first time. Because guys, the way we looked at it was like, hey, if this is what we tell any agent to do, why am I going to tell Rami or Heather to do it any differently? Right. So I think master your lane, master your repetition, master your script. If you're calling somebody and you're saying something different every single time, I encourage every single person on this call, record yourself. I don't care if you record yourself on your computer, your iPad. You're like, I only have one phone. That's great. Trust me, there's plenty of things that you can record. Ringy records you. Boom, there we go. Call off Ringy, guys. Like, utilize the tools that we have. Because here's the thing is you might call Heather, right? Heather, I might call you and I might say, Heather, I've been dialing all day. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'm on the dial team, right? But my camera's off. You can't see me. You can't hear me. Like, what's your response going to be to that?
Well, my first response is going to be, see, I didn't see you on Zoom, so I can't help you with that. But if you weren't on Zoom and you were working and you recorded yourself, send it to me. I'll listen to it. I'll tell you exactly what I think. And
Right.
that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have made the same mistake, guys. Everybody screws up, but you have to be okay with hearing that and accepting it because it'll help you to get better. That's exactly what you need to do.
100%. And I had this conversation with a lot of agents, and here's the thing, it's like, what are we willing to do and what are we not willing to do, right? And I think that it's very evident when you look at the company to see like there's people who are willing to do things that other people are not willing to do, whether that's be on the phone at 9, whether that's help onboard an agent, whether that's 15 talks a day, whatever that is. But if you're not willing to do something, like you're not willing to record yourself and you're not willing to be live on Zoom, I love you, but I'm not willing to help you because you're not willing to help yourself, right? So
100%.
like record yourself, because guys, I have recommended that so many, like literally that was how I learned in this industry to do anything. Like I recorded myself. It was so hard to listen back to. It was like, hearing glass on a chalkboard, but it helped me understand what I was saying and why it didn't necessarily make sense to that consumer, right? So that was really big for me. So guys, if you're not willing to record yourself, you're not willing to get better and you're not willing to humble yourself enough. It's like the only person who has to listen to it is you. If you want to share it, but at the same time, that's what dial team and etc. is all good for. Now, Rami, we talk about expectations, and we always talk about like, what are the expectations for a brand new agent, right? But it's like at the end of the day, guys, the expectations for a brand new agent are very similar to the expectations that I would say we have for ourselves as well, right? So Rami, talk to me a little bit about what expectations you set for yourself within the business and how that helps you propel through the business.
Yeah. So I will, to be honest, I expect guys, and this may sound arrogant, but I'm meaning it. I want you guys to pick on this. I expect myself to sell, and I do mean that. So I expect like every single week, I'm going to make a few sales. I'm going to help families. And now, in order for me to meet that expectation, I know there's certain things that need to be set first in the foundation. So one, I understand that again. I expect every single time that when I'm on the phones, I'm not going to get all yeses. Like a lead is a lead. It's not a sale. If there were sales, all of us here would be very rich and be very happy and content. But at the end of the day, it leads not a sale. It leads a family who's looking for help. And you have to really begin to turn curiosity into intent because they're interested in the product. It's your job to push it. So I knew and expected every single day that people are going to tell me no. When they told me no, I didn't get mad at myself. I didn't say it's my fault. I didn't say it's their fault. I didn't say it was the lead. I just kept on doing my job, just like I'm W-2. Just like I'm in the hospital, if I went to a patient's room and they told me, hey, get out of here, I don't want to take my medicine today, I'm not going to sit there and make them take the medicine. I'm like, all right, I'm going to my next room. I'm keep on going and finish my unit. So that's the same mindset. So I would continue to get through my leads and to know that people who want to say yes are going to say yes. Like Sean says, about 20 people you talk to, they won't buy anything from anybody. 20% will buy something from anyone, and then 60% you have to kind of coax and go. Now the numbers can go up and down, but you really want to keep that in mind that you're gonna get told no. The other expectation I had is I needed to have, again, guys, set amount of appointments per day. Everyone's different. We all have different metrics per se. I'm not going to talk numbers, but someone's skill can be different than a new agent, right? If I'm dialing compared to a new agent, I may get my appointments, faster than somebody just because I've been doing this for a few years now. Now, for the new agent, they want to keep in mind that it doesn't matter how long it takes. They need to. I knew that it doesn't matter how long it took. I had to get 8 and 8 when I was doing in the field, 15 appointments over 2 days. That was my standard expectation because I knew that if I had 8 people in one day and 50% showed up, 4 of them, and I only talked to 50% of them, and I only sold 50 of that 50, it's one person. So every single day, I at least made one sale. So if you keep that mindset and expectation that you're going to make a sale, you're not going to get mad when 7 out of 8 no show you or when 7 out of 8 is a no sale. It's okay. Because in this business, we always say the numbers work in your favor, or the field owes you per se. I didn't believe that in the very beginning. But not that I didn't believe it, I didn't experience it in the very beginning. But then over time in this business, I forget what month it was when I was part-time. I didn't do any work for like the month of, I think it was November. And then December, I had my biggest week. It was like 26,000 as a part-time, 26 families as a part-time agent. And when I did that, I was like, okay, so it's truly like, that's true. Like the field will pay you back. Just do the work. So the other expectation I had, again, was my timeline. I knew that every Monday, every Thursday, I'm in the office and I'm dialing. I made sure that, I took an office, I rented one because, hold you accountable, you put skin in the game. Same aspect, guys, when it comes to leads. You want to purchase leads, not only, to fund your business, but you want to do it so you have skin in the game and you're actually putting urgency to it. This business is all about urgency. If you get leads and you're lazy on them, somebody else is going to call your lead. They're going to fill out another form and they're going to get help by that agent or that person who's actually has tenacity, right? They're actually getting after it. They're really trying to, move fast and break things. So that was the expectation I had. And then lastly, when it came to the actual sale process inside the home, again, I knew I was not going to sell everybody. But what I did know is every single home I would learn. So I expected to learn something as a new agent every home. I would call Christina and Marisa and I would say, this is what I did. What can I do differently? I would go through my role and purpose. I would explain it. Marisa would be like, hey, you missed this part here. You didn't talk about submitting an application. You didn't talk about health. I picked on these things. I learned that the person that asks the most question wins. That's true, guys. Write that down. If you're having trouble like talking on the phone, start asking the random questions, guys. And I mean that, especially on the health portion. Like, have you had COVID in the last 6 months, in the past year? Doctor visits, routine checkups, abnormal blood work, like any random thing you can think of. To you may say, I'm asking them random questions. But to the client, no, you're doing senior underwriting. You're actually you're checking it. You're actually going through your protocol per se. And that was the standard I knew that I had the doctor-patient mindset that I expected, again, to tell them what to do. I didn't let a family tell me, like, hey, this is what I need. No, it's like, okay, professional, right? I'm going to tell you what you need because I have the license. In the day, if I can't help you, I continue to move on. I knew that if I get a no-show, if you're in the field, which I know probably not a lot of you are, but if you are, you want to door knock. You want to make sure that you are actually, getting and resolving your leads. I expected every week to have a lead resolution. Like every single week, I expected now, okay, I must resolve these leads. Whether, like Heather said, whether it being, told pound sand or a yes, or even doing a presentation. The main point was to make my stack smaller because I knew if I was making it smaller, I was doing my job. And every single week, it would compound, the compounding interest like an IUL. And all of a sudden, you have a bunch of leads or presentations that you helped. And then you have people referrals, you have a whole different stack of people that you weren't able to reach, but now you are reaching them. So in regards to expectations, you just want to always, as a new agent, dial until you have your appointments. You want to buy your leads. It doesn't have to be brand new leads, but 100 new leads to you every single dial day. It's going to keep you in the race. Have a really good mindset. You have to understand that it's going to have up and downs in the business. Expect the up and downs. I will tell you from now, expect the down. Because when the down happens and the up comes, you really, it's easy. It's easy to go back to, it's easy like when you're used to dealing with shit, excuse my language, but used to dealing with shit and, you something really good and you go back down to it, like, it's okay. I was here before, I can come back up, right? When anything that falls, always to come back, guys. Always keep that in mind. What goes down must come up. What goes up must come down. It's life. So at the end of the day, just have that expectation and then know at the end of the day that you are the worst you're going to be today. Even if you're a Hall of Fame producer, that's the worst you're going to be today. Like myself, I strive to help 1 million families a year. I want to hit that goal. Like that's my biggest goal right now. I want to hit 1 million families a year. I want my group to having 1 million families as well. So in order for me to do that, I know there are certain things, I need to do to get there. And if you have that mindset and you're coachable, it's going to be really easy to get there compared to someone that doesn't have the right mindset. They're not coachable, right? They don't expect to be told what to do by their upline or their manager because you're working with them. Like we're not telling you what to do because we want to boss you around and be like, hey, do this, this. No, like you came in this business because you guys wanted to help your family. We want you to help your family as well. So we're going to tell you what to do. It's a copycat business. That was the main expectation I knew as well. That I knew that when Marisa and Christian said, guys, it's a copycat business. It truly is. There's a reason why you have all these producers doing very, very well over the phone. It's not because they have a magic CRM. It's not because they have a magic lead type. They just all found someone that's duplicatable. They duplicated it to match their personality, and they're calling leads that are warm. And think about it, guys. If you're calling leads, guys, that have high intent, there's no reason why no one on this call right now should be a Hall of Fame producer. The only reason of that is you're not either doing enough IPAs, income producing activities, or you don't believe in yourself. You don't have the mindset, or you're just not being coachable. If you do start to, lean into those areas, having a good attitude, being coachable, having a good mindset, your sales will uptick. I promise that. And that was what I kind of came into as a new agent. And even to this day, like Marisa said, I still do exactly what I do as a new agent now, just on a higher level. I'm buying more leads, I'm calling more people, I'm seeing more people, I'm now handling the agency side. So that's the main difference. But you're still going to do the same fundamentals. When you build a house, an apartment building, a mansion, a single family, there's still protocols, right, and fundamentals that are always built in every house, every apartment, right? The foundation, etc. It's the same thing in this business. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And that was a lot of good information. And, you went from the field will pay you back, guys, the phones will pay you back too, right? Everything will pay you back in this business. You have to believe that, right? Mindset. You're the worst you're going to be today. Like, and guys, I always tell people that because I hold it true to myself too. It's very true. You're the worst you're going to be right now in this exact moment. You can only get better. Like Rami said, coachability is huge. If you're not coachable, it's going to make everybody's life a lot harder. If you're the I did that, I said that person, you're not really fun to be around or fun to coach, because you already did and said everything that we might be advising you to do. But we didn't hear it, right? So Rami, you brought up a lot of good things there. You're the worst you're ever gonna be today, coachability, and then making your process duplicatable for yourself, right? It's like, I know if somebody woke Rami up at 4 a.m. and said, I need you to do your mortgage protection presentation verbatim, he would be like, all right, we're good. Like, we're not going to get killed because I know my mortgage protection verbatim. I say the same thing in every house and I ask the same questions, right? So that's what we want to be. It's like, if you have a favorite song, like we all have a favorite song, guys, all right? Your script should be like, you should know it like your favorite song. That should be the goal. Once you can sing it, like you can, like, I love like Living on a Prayer when I'm in a bad mood. It's like that's my jam, right? If I put that song on, like it jams on, like we're living on a prayer. Christina knows, Rami knows. If you guys don't know, you'll know soon. But my point is, guys, is you want to know that like your favorite song, because once you do that, you become powerful, because you can start going from thinking of a place from I'm just saying what's on this sheet to I understand what's on this sheet and why I'm saying it, right? Sometimes we don't know why we're asking the questions that we're asking, and that can become detrimental through activity, right? Like, if you don't know why you're asking, like, did you fill this out like most families, just wanting to make sure that the final expenses wouldn't fall a burden on your loved ones? Like, like, if you don't understand why we're asking that, over time, it's going to click to you. But if it doesn't, that's when it's like, okay, are you reading the same script? Are you doing the same thing? Because the initial point is get the script down. The second, like your favorite song, right? Like, it's your favorite song. The second thing is understand it, right? You ever listen to a song, you're like, what is that song even about? You might be jamming out to it. And then at the end, you're like, oh my God, that song was about ABC. Like, I didn't even realize, right? Like, I've been there, right? But my point is, guys, is that same thing with the script. We have to like read it. We might not understand it, especially if we're brand new in the industry. Understand and internalize why we're asking the questions the way that we ask them. So that's huge. And Rami, you gave a lot of good insight there, especially mindset, keeping it there, remembering there's going to be high highs, there's going to be low lows, and just keeping yourself in that nice leveled place. And you do an amazing job of that. So thank you. Heather, working back over to you. I know you have some stuff you want to hit on too, so implement it in. But talk to us a little bit about what your lead flow looked like in the beginning and what it looks like now and kind of why it looks that way.
Um, in the beginning, it was very sporadic. I was
I
not
remember.
consistent. Yeah, I was not consistent. It was all like final expense because I didn't know any better. Um, but it was very inconsistent. I think I started at like, well, family and friends, which run out, by the way, you run out of family and friends. Um, which I learned quickly. And then moved to figuring out ILC, I believe, and doing like $250 here, eating those leads for a long, long time. And I actually posted something here. It says, leads are like McDonald's French fries. Guys, McDonald's, and I'm going to use this as an example, they buy French fries all the time, right? Because when we go there, if you go there, you want to eat fresh French fries, right? Sometimes your French fries, if they got cold, what if they double dunked them into the oil? That's disgusting. You don't want to eat those, right? That's like you going over and over and over on these leads because you don't have the money to buy new leads. I'm going to say a bad word. It's coming out. I'm going to say bullshit on that. You can always find $50 to buy 75-cent leads. You can borrow from your kids. You can borrow from your uncle. You can put it on a credit card. And I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, but there are times when you're in that low that Rami was talking about. You're like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And just, of course, we pray. I do anyway. And I think a lot of you do, that we pray that something comes along, right? But while you're doing that, don't let those French fries get dunked 2 or 3 times, right? Good to go back to them. Yes. Okay, we forgot that bag of fries in the back of the freezer. Let's bring them back out and cook them up. But don't let them sit there for so long and reuse them and reuse them, reuse them. The other thing about French fries that's true is sometimes you buy a bag of French fries and somebody's dumb and they trip and they fall and they break the bag on the floor, right? That's a waste of bag of French fries. And you're going to sit there and cry about it. Oh, that lead source sucked. Oh, it was horrible. I didn't get anything out of it. Yes. Again, there's a downside to that. Your down is now my batch of leads is no good, right? Bam. You're not going to sweep those fries up and cook them. You're not. What you're going to do is you're going to buy a new bag of French fries. So suck it up, because guess what? That next batch, they're going to walk them to the fryer. They're going to cook them and they're going to come out goldenly crisp. And it's going to be 5 times what you just spent on them. So keep that in mind, that your leads will change and your source will change. After once I realized I had to be consistent, McDonald's has to buy a certain number every single week. Your number is going to be different than mine, Rami's, Aphrodite's, Liz's, right? But learning from people on how to increase, if you're starting to see that your business is flatlining, the only thing you can do is increase your lead spend. Until you have enough people in your funnel that you're starting to get, like right now, literally, guys, I'm at 50%, and I keep track of this on my sales tracker. 50% of my sales every month are referrals or repeat clients. That's a good number. That makes me happy, right? Because that's less leads that I have to spend unless I want to increase my numbers. So if I want to increase my numbers, I have to buy new leads, right? Which I always do, but I have to increase my lead spend. So it's exactly a number game, exactly a number game. And so $250 a week to start, when I was actually really realizing then I wasn't making enough money for my family. So I doubled it to 500. Now I'm doing about 1,500 to 2,000 a week. But it's in the game. It's in the numbers. I'm also submitting 25 every week, or I'm trying to. That's my goal anyways, right? So
It makes
French
sense.
fries, guys, French fries. Just
Yeah.
never forget that.
No, and that analogy is great because, like you said, like you refry the French fries, like no one's going to buy them, right? Like they're going to come back, they're going to return them, right? And the thing is, guys, it's like, just like Heather's saying, like the old leads, if you will, she's referencing the old French fries or the fries that fell on the ground, right? That Heather's referencing. It's not that we can never go back to them. It's just that we don't want to focus on the spilled fries. We don't want to focus the bag spilled. Okay, what's the solution, right? We always want to work from a place of solution oriented. the day and the time will come, like it will, if it hasn't already, that you just feel like, and it might just be for a day, that you feel like, I don't know what to do. The French fries are all over the floor. I'm not sure how to fix it, right? Like, what do I do? What do I do? That's the time that you want to call your upline. You want to have a conversation. Hey, this is what's going on. If you don't shoot your upline straight, there is no way on God's green earth that anyone is going to be able to help. If you call your upline and say, Heather, yesterday I hit all 6 of the goals that you talked about on that call. And I even made an additional 500 dials. And I did this the day before that. And this, and I'm feeding Heather all BS. Is that going to help her help me be better? No. Whereas if I say, Heather, you know what? I really haven't felt like I could go live on Dial Team. I've been really nervous about it. Okay. I really want to talk to you about it. I know I can do this thing. I just need to get my head right. At that point, Heather, you might be like, hop on Zoom with me in a breakout room and you might talk to me about it, right? We're going to work through it together. But as long as I'm being honest with you, because you're always going to be honest with me, right? And that's kind of like an unspoken rule. Like, Heather, like you always were very honest from the beginning to now about anything going on in your business. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's really helped you move faster in the business.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And it is it's sometimes to a fault, my honesty, because sometimes people can't handle it. But if they can't, then all I can say is there's nothing better I could do. Like, it's just who I am. If they can't handle the truth, then they're not for me, honestly.
Right. And to be honest, long term, like you're probably not for this business. And I don't say that in a hatred way. I say it in a way of, if you can't handle that, you gotta, segue out, so to say. And if that's your move, that's your move. But like,
See,
I
I'd
don't have
say
a
pull
plan.
up your big girl panties, but you can say
That's right.
segue up.
That is what Heather always says, which I love. But with that being said, Heather, anything else you really want to hit on as it pertains to anything?
Well, I had said kind of what Rami had said is this business, as I never would have thought I'd come into it. God knows I never thought I'd be an insurance agent. That's weird. They're old, they wear suits and they come to your home and they talk weird. Sorry, Rami, just kidding. Uh, but and also, like, you have to get out of the picture of who you have to find out who you really are. And if you're tough, you're going to be good. You just have to believe it. And what is tough to you, and deal with the roller coasters going up and down, and have your spouse be on board with it, or your family. That's hard. I mean, that's just a whole bunch of stuff. Like, literally, you have to be strong to do this business. And when the roller coaster goes down and things are not going your way, you can cry. That's okay. You can cry to me. I will tell you how it is, though, so be prepared. But then don't whine. Don't whine. Do something about it. Cry all you want, but whining's not okay. Because whining's not going to get you anywhere. Crying is good. It releases all those scientific things. I'm not smart enough to know what they are, but they feel good to cry. Then pull up your big girl boy panties and move forward, because tomorrow is another day, and it's probably going to likely be an up day.
If you work through it, right? If you work through it. If you don't pull up the big girl panties, then you're probably not going to be in a good spot, right? So I love that, Heather. Show up every day, find out who you really are, what needs to change, what do you want to change? I always go back to this too, and Heather and Rami, you guys are probably gonna be like, really? There's 3 things Sean Mike asked me when I met him. Where she got them written down, yeah?
That's on my list. That's on my list.
Perfect. Where are you at now? Where do you want to go? And what are you willing to give up to get there? And when Sean asked me that, I think I was 24 or 5 years old, 25 probably. To be honest, I was like, where am I at now? In a 1-bedroom apartment, by myself, like an hour away, secluded from all my friends, because I wanted to move closer to the office. Where do I want to be? I want to be helping a lot more people. And what am I willing to give up to get there? Maybe at that time for me, it was like time with my friends. Like, I moved an hour away intentionally. Like, it was like, I don't want to be disturbed, so to say. And that was an easier way for me, so to say, to do that for myself. That's what worked for me. Now, what works for you can be completely different. But where are you at now? Where do you want to be? What are you willing to give up to get there? Those are 3 questions. you even ask yourself that on a weekly basis, it's going to help you just self-identify like what you actually want for yourself, for your family, whatever it may be. So ask yourself those questions. They're great reflection questions. Rami, anything that you really wanted to hit on or you feel like you could add value to the team before we kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just keep that in mind. I like to, my numbers, I just always think of, if by the end of the month, if I do 50 families, I'm okay. I'm happy. I don't care if 1 week I messed up, if 2 week I had a good big week. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just do your numbers, guys, out on a month basis. Now, if you're a person that needs to be extremely organized and you have to break it down to micro goals, you can do that. I'm the opposite. I don't need micro goals. I just know that, all right, if I have this number, I know I'm going to attain it because by nature, but in the back of my mind, I know that I'm going to do what I need to do to get there. Now, the thing is, I would highly encourage new agents to definitely have, weekly goals. It makes it easier as a new agent to kind of get through everything. But if, you've been doing this quite some time, just have a goal and don't be upset if you miss that goal, you miss that number, because again, you go up and down, but it's a marathon. So at the end of the year, you still at Hall of Fame. Like if Heather hits it, let's say November 1st, not the 31st, she's not going to beat herself up. She's not going to kick herself in the ass and say, oh, I didn't hit it by October 31st. She still hit her goal. She still made Hall of Fame. That's all that matters, guys. So just make sure you guys are actually just hitting your goals. So again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. My point is take your time and it's okay. Like at the end of the day, this will work for you if you make it work. If you don't make it work, it's on you, not anyone else.
Absolutely. And that's great advice. And to be honest, like what Rami just said, it doesn't necessarily register like with me, right? Like Rami knows that too. Like I'm very like short-term structured goal because that's how I get to the bigger goal, so to say. But not everyone's mind's like that, right? Like I know me and Heather are good with like micro goals to get to the macro goal. Whereas Rami looks at the macro goal and then breaks it down in his head and moves on. Now, if you work that way, that's also why I'm like Heather and Rami on the call, they're a little bit different in terms of their processes. I think it just goes to show even more like, guys, I don't want to say anyone can do this because you have to put work in it to do it. But if you're willing to do the work, invest your time, buy the leads, get coached, just like Heather and Rami talked about on this call today. And remember, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's inevitable that you're going to win. It's just inevitable. It's going to happen. You need to let it play itself out. So I love that. And know yourself. I think that's a great advice there from Heather, but I love Heather. Heather's like, no, I would already know. So like, don't even worry about it.
I would know at the October and I would kick ass until to make that goal. I would have to because you have to know what you want.
Yes. And that's a lot of our problems is like, we don't know what we want in the business. And that can be difficult. That could be, I want to help 10 families. That could be, I want to help 10 new agents get onboarded. That could be, I want to write $1 million in the year, right? Like that could be a lot of different things, guys, but you have to figure out what is it for you and then the why behind that. Like when the why exceeds the how, like, the how will show up, right? It's very true, guys. Like you wake up with the why. Like I know, like, for example, like I had a loved one go through a surgical procedure recently. And when I woke up in that morning, I woke like the day after the surgery, I woke up in like action mode. I was like, we gotta do this. Like, we gotta get this done, right? You wake up with a different mindset because the why was why? Because you're the only person there to help that person. So you better get up and you better figure it out, make sure that they're good to go because this person woke up before me and was up and moving around. And I was like, oh gosh, right? So guys, my point is you got to know what you're waking up to. When I knew what I was waking up to, I knew what to expect. It made the process that much easier. When I knew the end goal was to help this person get comfortable, make sure that they're, everything looks good and they don't have a fever, etc. I knew my process. I knew why I was trying to do it because I wanted to help my family member, right? Sounds silly, but like, guys, use that same example as applicable to business. Like, why do you want to help 10 families a month? Why do you want to help 75 families a month? Why do you want to help 1,000 families in the year, right? Why do you want to do it? What is it going to do for you? What is it going to do for your family? What is it going to do for the people around you? What is it going to do for your community? These are different questions we have to dive deep and ask ourselves because at the end of the day, that's really what makes us who we are. And I loved having both of you guys on today. Again, just two very different personalities and different ways of reaching goals. But guys, main reason for that was, first of all, I think it's great to have both of them on, but at the same time, it was, you're gonna this call should show you you're typically going to pick to one person or the other. And when we do that, guys, this goes back to how I always talk about find the person you want to listen to, right? When I came into the IMO world, meaning coming out of a captive world, it was really confusing for me. I listened to one girl's training, like the same training. Like I can literally still say it verbatim, like Christina and Rami know. And that is how I learned how to and how I learned how to be comfortable in the IMO world. So find someone who sounds like you want to sound like, somebody you want to be like, whatever it is, they influence you. And when you hear them speak, you're listening, right? Because that's the main thing. And when you can find that person, plug into their trainings, listen to their YouTube, listen to their podcast, whatever it is, because it becomes really powerful because now you're just duplicating their process because it works for you.